By Honda Motorcycles, the leader in on and off-road fun. Honda, come ride with us. And by Suzuki, check out the hot new 92 RMs at your Suzuki dealer today. Suzuki, the ride you've been waiting for.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to what many people feel is the most significant motocross on the U.S. calendar. I'm Art Eckman along with Dave Despain. And we've got an interesting situation this year where the Worldwide Points Championship is up for grabs. Last year, the championship was confirmed, clinched, right at this race at Unadilla with a rather conservative ride. But we've got a competitive factor this year.
Alessandro Puzar, the world champion, is not going to come here and coast this year. He's going to have to work for it, or he's in serious danger of losing his championship point lead to a couple of Americans who really are genuine threats to win the title.
Well, there really is some rivalries within the rivalry here, because we have Americans that race in Europe, we have Americans that only race in America with a shot at this title, and you've got the Europeans competing.
And it's 100% turnaround from 20 years ago when we used to go to the GP and hope that an American could finish in the top 20. The Europeans taught us this sport. We learned it very well, and now it is the Americans who are the contenders. And it is interesting that they're divided into two factions, those who choose to stay in this country, run for the national title, and in fact make more money, and those who would rather go to Europe and run for the honor of being world champion.
Americans have won the U.S. Grand Prix 11 of the 13 times, and let's take a closer look now at the individuals, the stars. Alessandro Puzar of Italy, the defending 250cc world champion, and he's got a race on his hands this year after an easy go of it last year.
And here's the reason why. Trampus Parker, native of Louisiana, passed 125 world champion Pressing for the 91 250 championship.
And tied with Parker, Mike Healy from Southern California. This year he won the San Marino Grand Prix and the Grand Prix Moto, one of them in France.
This is Mickey Diamond, who had essentially retired from motocross until he hooked up with a European Yamaha distributor and came out of retirement.
And the young man from Finland, Pekka Vähkönen, second last year in this Grand Prix of the United States, but he's been inconsistent this season.
Here's Peter Johansson, the winner in Belgium a couple of weeks ago, vaulted from 7th to 5th in the standings and talks about racing in America.
Yeah, you're not used to the time. You just laying on. Normally we had our own trucks and our own food and everything, so it's a little bit different.
I like that track. It's a little bit more like European style track, and I've been 2 last year, 3rd overall here, and I'm looking something better this year.
The hard charger from America, Mike LaRocco. Very strong this year. His best year, in fact, winning his first Supercross in Las Vegas.
And the defending race champion, pre-race favorite, Jeff Stanton, heir apparent to Bob Hanna and Rick Johnson as King of Unadilla, says he wants that crown.
Yeah, I would. I've always looked up to Bob Hanna because he was kind of that way too, and then Ricky stepped over and won like 3 races here. So they always have a really good crowd here, and there's always a really good backing, and always a lot of followers. So I'd definitely like to be the king of Unadilla. It means a lot to have those followers across the United States, and even the European people that come over here to watch the race, to have those followers behind you.
A look at this tremendous course and more from the 1991 United States Grand Prix right after this. The U.S. Motocross Grand Prix. The rolling hills of upstate New York provide a wonderful, beautiful setting for this particular race, but also the riders love it. It is challenging, it is rugged, and many say it's the best track they've ever raced on.
And I think that A leads to B. Motocross is supposed to be tough. This is a great racetrack.
1.19 miles of natural terrain, and Dave, it's hard to imagine the promoter didn't have to put any jumps in this particular course when we actually see it, especially when you're talking about the gravity cavity.
Let's take a ride with Mike Healy on his KTM and give you an idea of the difficulty of this racetrack. Gravity cavity, the big downhill, ruts in the bottom, and then coming out the other side, perhaps the most air that they'll get anywhere on this racetrack. Notice the ruts. It's a very rugged course.
Elevation really does change a lot in this second little area here, as the competition is one thing to beat, but the track is another.
All these obstacles are here, as you pointed out, Art. The promoter didn't have to build any of these jumps or humps. They're all here. That's a difficult uphill section.
Our final section, not like a home stretch at all. It's very difficult getting to that finish line.
Another sequence with a lot of elevation change here, and the line is particularly critical through this section of the racetrack. Watch as they go into the downhill. You see the big rut there. All the rain that they've had here in the last weekend has been a big issue. The downhill, the hard braking right here for the left-hander. You use the berm to help you make the turn, but then back on the gas hard. You got to get your momentum up to get up and over the top of this hill. Swing wide, use all of the racetrack here at Unadilla because, believe me, you need all the speed you can get through here.
This track's only used twice a year. Very fast track in the grass, but rugged as the day wears on. And before practice day, this is all tall grass on rolling hills. After a few turns, the track takes shape and is transformed into what we see right now.
You'll actually be able to see the grassy area here as we await the start of the first moto. The entire racetrack was just grass until they went out and started running on it and dug it all up and turned it into mud and rust. Here we go.
This is Visser right on the inside as the gate drops. Diamond Parker Visser off to a great start here at the beginning. Into the first turn. Look out.
Trouble right off the bat.
Monet goes down. Peter Dirks runs over him. You know, Monet surprised everyone in France, second overall after failing to gain any top 15 finishes in the first 5 races of the season. But out in front is our favorite, Dave.
Jeff Stanton has a hole shot, and that's bad news for the rest of these cats. It's a long race, 40 minutes plus 2 laps, but Stanton's an Iron Man. You let him out front, the rest of these guys may very well be in trouble. Mickey Diamond is second, Hughes Visser running third, Trampas Parker making a move from 4.
Mickey Diamond, a 2-time 125cc national champion, coming out of retirement to join the 250 ranks. Knee injury has prevented him from doing a good job in the first half of the season, but he was third overall in France. He's trying to catch up to this man, number 19, Jeff Stanton of Team Honda. He dominated both motos last year, and it looks like that domination continues here today.
Ooh, there's a move by Trampas Parker, and he's around Mickey Diamond. You got just a glimpse of it left side of the screen. That's going to move Parker into second. He doesn't want to let Jeff Stanton get away. Stanton wants to dictate the pace of the race, and Trampas Parker cannot afford to let him do that.
And Parker, of course, very concerned about the overall point standing. A second place here, depending on where the former defending champion is, would be very valuable to Parker.
Yeah, and it's a couple of points we need to make. One, Stanton really doesn't care very much about the points. He's racing for honors here and for the money. Here you see Trampas Parker, who very much needs the point. The third place man is Visser. The other guy we need to make a point about is Kuzar, who is way back in the pack, and that's good for Parker.
Parker can pick up some valuable points on him. Stanton, meanwhile, continues to lead. 1989, he won both motos in the 125cc support class, and of course, in 90, won both in the 250.
It poured down rain here yesterday. That's why you see all these ruts on the racetrack, and it's ironic they've had a little miniature drought here for the last couple of months. The promoter, Ward Robinson, was out here watering the racetrack like crazy, and then, of course, the day before the race, it poured down rain. So it is a very, very difficult racetrack on which they're doing battle today. Stanton loves these kinds of conditions. The tougher, the better. Very much a man and machine kind of a situation here today. The rider's got to be aces, but if he's not on a good horse, he's not going to win the race. A good opportunity for us to meet the third member of our broadcast team here today. Bruce Penhall, the former World Speedway champion, has a look at the motorcycles these guys ride.
Now, a lot of you may think that racing motocross is strictly man versus man. Well, in a sense, that's true. Although it's putting together the entire package that will ultimately produce a world champion. So you're probably wondering what this package consists of. Well, obviously the rider himself plays a very important part. Conditioning, nutrition, sponsors, the friends that he surrounds himself with. And last but certainly not least is the motorcycle itself. And with us today is no stranger to these motorcycles, Danny Bentley. He's been a factory mechanic for over 13 years. Danny, can you go over some of the most important mechanical aspects on board Jeff Stanton's factory Honda?
Well, Bruce, to start with, we have a highly tuned 250cc liquid-cooled motor. We have 11 inches of travel front and rear, and I think the most important aspect is matching the rider's ability with the performance of the motorcycle.
So you see, it's not just the rider, nor is it just the motorcycle. It's the entire package that will ultimately produce a world champion. Back to you, Dave.
Thank you very much, Bruce Penhall. Both the lead motorcycles are Hondas. Here is Jeff Stanton's machine, prepared by the American Honda team. You see the interval back to the second-place man, Trampas Parker, riding for the Italian Honda distributor.
And that shows a two-man race all the way as the two of them are way out in front. of the other riders. Travis Parker now living in Italy. He had the points lead in the series after winning 2 motos in Austria, then followed that up with an impressive second and first place finish in Italy. Stanton, though, still out in front with Parker and Visser 2 and 3. More of the United States Grand Prix right after this.
With 30 minutes into this first moto, and Jeff Stanton has been virtually untouched over this race. But remember, we have to keep sight on the World Championship points chase. Travis Parker is in second place at this time. Alessandro Puzar is well back, as well as Mike Haley.
Let's put the clock on the leaders here and check the interval from first to second. Jeff Stanton will trip the clock as he comes by our position here. He has maintained the lead from the beginning of the race. Now, this is a lap rider. We're waiting for Travis Parker, and here he comes, the second-place man. Parker has made a couple runs at Stanton, and each time he does, Stanton seems to be able to pick up the tempo a little bit. And as you can see, it is a 13.8-second interval. That's a pretty comfortable gap.
The interval is not one of comfort right here for third and fourth. Visser and Diamond doing a real fine job of battling it out. The fans are really reacting to this third and fourth place competition right now.
Pretty good battle, and again, it's the Americans versus the Europeans. Diamond, the former 125 national champion, running fourth and trying to reel in Visser. He has closed it down and made a good tight race out of it. But Visser seems to be able to respond. He's able to pick up the pace just a little bit. Visser, a Dutchman, this is kind of a surprise. He's only 12th in the world standing, so this is a good run for him.
Diamond riding for an Italian Yamaha importer right now.
Mickey had problems, actually retired from motocross and then attempted to come back last year and immediately got hurt. So he's really had a struggle to find a good ride in America. That's what prompted him to go over to Europe and hook up with the Yamaha distributor. He's making good progress now in the World Championship battles.
And good bucks now that he showed very well in France. So he's definitely focused in to the Grand Prix scene right now.
Yeah, he needs to make this pass. He wants the points. And here he comes down the inside looking for room. The road, he's on the ground. Diamond crashed. Appeared to perhaps make contact as he tried to get by Visser on the inside. A little bit of a desperation move here. We'll see it in replay. See, they're in the same rut. And so now when Diamond tries to come by, he hits the rear wheel of Visser and loses the front end.
You really have to be careful, and look at the ruts here in following someone through a rut.
Yeah, you see that the effect of the rain is just tremendous on this racetrack. It was so wet when they started to run it in that they have cut all of these ruts into the racetrack, and you can make a big mistake in a hurry. As we watch Stanton out front, the good news for him is he doesn't have to hurry. With the kind of lead he's got, he can be very careful.
And, Dave, here's our world champion. He's riding without goggles. He had vision problems early, threw them away, and now he's probably having more problems with vision than ever before without the goggles.
He'll be high-pressed to finish the race. He can't see. He mudded them up, apparently, and threw them away, so he's in real trouble.
We might expect him to pull out of the moto early.
Meanwhile, we got a great battle continuing for third place. Ray Somo is the lead rider here, but he is actually a lap down. That is Tuz Visser, who just survived the challenge from Mickey Diamond on the outside. But the man making a move right up the inside is LaRocco.
Great move by LaRocco, who's having a super year. Very strong last year until he broke down in the second moto. And look at the rain. It's starting to come down, Dave.
Yeah, they had it all day yesterday. Now it's happening again. That's not going to help the conditions here. The deep ruts will be even more difficult with the rain falling, primarily because it's going to make the racetrack slippery. It'll be hard to hit your rut.
It was interesting in that last corner seeing the riders go to each side and try to get to the smoother area on this track.
A lot of difference in styles, too, between the Europeans. Notice that Visser spends a lot of time on the seat, sitting down. That's more of the European approach. The Americans tend to be up on the pegs more, and especially in rutty conditions. The other big difference, I think, and this may just be an American viewpoint, is I think the Americans have the ability to charge longer and harder. They'll run the whole 40 minutes pretty much flat out.
Well, they're in tremendous shape, that's for sure. Travis Parker, number 7, going through the course right now. He would love to see some points build up. Mike LaRocco in third place, right behind Parker now. He's moving up.
Speed seems to be LaRocco's biggest asset. Consistency is the thing he's still looking for. But I'll tell you, when this guy's on, he's as fast as anybody out there.
The young man from LaPorte, Indiana, would certainly like to break this man's string of moto wins here at the U.S. Grand Prix. 2 moto wins in the 125cc class in '89, and, of course, sweeping it last year. I'm speaking of Jeff Stanton.
mechanic. That's Dan Bentley. Did you see the sign that said good pace? 31 minutes into the Moto. I guess it's a good pace. When you got a 15-second lead, that's a good pace.
Conditioning plays a big part in this area of the Moto now as we wind it down, and Jeff Stanton is truly a great conditioned athlete. The rain has stopped on the course right now as we look at the leaders. Stanton, Parker, LaRocco. We'll be back in a moment.
This ESPN Network program is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. With that distinctively clean, crisp, cold taste, nothing beats a Bud.
Runaway leader is an appropriate term. He got the start, got the whole shot out of the gate, built a 15-second lead, and is holding on to that right now. Here's action in Michael Rocco's pit. His dad frantically signaling him to come in. They're going to change the goggles. He got mud on the goggles early on. He's far enough ahead of the fourth-place man. They figure they can change him and get him back without losing position. That's unusual.
He's definitely been in the heat of the action, that's for sure. That change of goggles really should help him. Here's Stanton coming up on a lap rider right now. Stanton, who was very outspoken, was quoted in the local newspaper as saying, the Americans that run in Europe can't hack it in the United States. Well, that's created a lot of reaction.
Well, indeed it has. As we check the interval back to the second-place man, Trampus Parker, one of the guys that he was talking about. Trampus had a pretty strong reaction to Jeff's words in the local paper here pre-race.
I don't know. I hear him giving a lot of flack, but last year after Donnie Smith won the World Championship, he come back over here and smoked him pretty good. So I don't know. Maybe they think a lot of riders are running away from things, but I don't think that's true because every American who went over there had a hard time, and it's a different lifestyle. It's not like living here in the States.
Travis made reference to Donnie Schmidt. Keep in mind there is a world champion in each of 3 classes. Donnie won the 125 World Championship last year.
Jeff Stanton looking for a place in the history books. Kent Howerton in 79-80, back-to-back wins. Rick Johnson, the only other 2-time winner here at Unadilla, also a 3-time winner of the Grand Prix event.
Let me take you back to 1986 in a great Unadilla battle. On the yellow Suzuki, number 22 is Bob Hanna. He's pursued here by Johnny O'Mara, and in fact passed by O'Mara. We call Bob Hanna one of the kings of Unadilla. That is based purely on great rides and fan reaction. His results here were awful. He always had bad luck at this racetrack except this day. O'Mara ran out of gas, and Bob Hanna coasted to an easy victory, the only time he ever won here.
Dave, it makes up for the previous bad breaks, though. Broken clutch and assorted other bad breaks at Unadilla for Bob Hanna.
Fast forward a couple of years to 1988 and Rick Johnson, the man who inherited the crown from Bob Hanna. This was, in fact, Bob's last race. He was so popular at Unadilla and loved this place so much that he chose this for his retirement party. Johnson won the race, became, as you said, only the second 2-time winner here until last year when Jeff Stanton just had a cakewalk.
And look at the way, and look at the conditions of the dirt, too, last year. Not quite the ruts that we see in this year's course because of the previous rain.
Rain has been a big issue here today. It was not an issue last year. The only question last year was how much Jeff Stanton would win by as he cleaned house in both motos, and now is trying to do it again today.
Now you can see the contrast in the track condition, but it doesn't seem to matter to Jeff Stanton one iota as he still hangs on to his dominating lead here in the first moto.
And again, it's just bragging rights for Stanton. He wants to prove that he is better not only than all the Americans who have gone off to Europe to race for the World Championship, but also all of those Europeans themselves. He firmly believes that American motocross and American supercross is the repository of the world's great motocross talent, and that's what he's out to prove here today.
And it would go nicely as the first rider to win back-to-back supercross championships since Bob Hanna.
Trampus Parker running second. He doesn't care what Jeff Stanton thinks, quite frankly. He knows that only one man in the world gets to be called world champion, and that's the crown that he wants. And with this run and the problem for Fuzar, he's got a real shot at taking that title.
Parker content with second place here in the first moto as Stanton just flew around this track and really dominated. Here's the last lap. Stanton taking the final turn before the checkered flag. Parker behind him for a second place finish as Stanton now eases up and he comes across the checkered flag waving.
5 consecutive moto victories on this racetrack for this man. No doubt who currently reigns as the king of Unadilla. It is definitely Jeff Stanton.
The boisterous and always involved Unadilla fans giving him a standing ovation as Stanton goes over to Ward Robinson, the promoter of the event. As we look at the official results, look at the USA domination with Stanton, Parker, Laraco, and Diamond 1 through 4. And Johansson in good position in 6. Let's go to Bruce Penhall with our winner.
Jeff, fantastic start, virtually untouched throughout the whole moto. Now, the conditions changed over the last, say, 5 minutes of the race. Is it getting a little sloppy out there?
A little bit sloppy. The rain started coming down a little bit, but nothing real bad. It was pretty much basically the same all the way through. It's really sloppy. The rain we had yesterday made it really deep, and the grooves are really deep.
Your mechanic, Danny Bentley, was giving you a sign of 25 seconds ahead of the second-place guy. Do you know who that was?
No, I don't know who it was. I'm sure it might have been Parker. He was there. I'm not real sure.
Nice job, Jeff.
Thanks.
The riders now, after the first moto, getting a good rest. And stay tuned for more motocross racing on ESPN. Well, the fans can identify with these machines a little bit better.
The 125s are a hot-selling class in the amateur division especially, and that's why it's so important. Your leader is Jeff Emig on a Yamaha, and chasing him is the Kawasaki of Kedrowski. And watch what happens as they come down through the dip. Maybe a little bit of contact right here. Emig is on the ground. Might not have been a huge problem, except that everybody keeps using his bike for traction, and that means he can't pick it back up and get going again. And that essentially opens the door for Kedrowski.
Expensive insult to injury there. Kedrowski, the 89 125cc national champion, is also leading in points this year in that same division.
Probably the best man in the class right now. Behind him, a good battle for second. The 31 of Doug Henry and number 29, Steve Lamson. Henry won his first national earlier this year, but look at Lamson come way around on the outside. This is the Team Peak Antifreeze Honda, inspired by the Winston Cup stock car. A guy by the name of Mitch Payton put together a team with Peak sponsorship, and they've had a great season. And this is Lamson going into second spot and basically running away thereafter with that position. Henry, meanwhile, frustrated, throwing the dirt all over our ESPN camera.
Mike Kedrowski, and let's just check out how far out in front he is from Lamson. A good interval there. Lamson taking the easy way as we come to the checkered flag. Kedrowski, the winner of the first moto.
Well, Kedrowski had a cakewalk in the first moto, but the second moto was anything but that. Again, the big grassy field here. They essentially just come into a wide-open pasture, lay out the course markers, and let the guys make their own track. And as everybody came blasting through the right-hander, you'll see number 18, Emig, back out in front again. A crash in the back slows up some of the back markers. The guy you don't see a sign of is Kedrowski. He got a terrible start. The players in this one are Emig, number 20, Buddy Antonez, 29 is Lamson again, and look for the number 23. That is Denny Stevenson. Right side of your screen right there. You'll see a lot more of him before this one is over. Early on, it was an Emig and Antonez battle, but Buddy later crashed and fell back into the pack. Here came the real action. This is Lamson, and he is challenged here by Stevenson with Kedrowski, who's coming back from the bad start. See the outside pass? Stevenson says, hey, it isn't a pass until you get around me. He really made a race out of it, while Lamson set sail up front.
Lamson, the unofficial factory Honda rider, out in front of this tremendous three-way battle. This is a who's who in 125 racing in our nation, with the exception of the national champion, Guy Cooper, who elected not to race. Basically, it's first and second year pros, some with added incentive of contract renewals coming up. Here you see Stevenson on the outside. Whoa!
He got in trouble. The rut caught him. It got the front wheel. He was trying to find a way around and simply got off in the wrong rut. It ran him off the racetrack. He didn't come back onto the track at the point where he left it, which technically is a rule violation. They elected not to penalize him. But it broke his rhythm, and it enabled Kedrowski to close it right up here. And now you'll see that Kedrowski starts making those passes that weren't working before. Here is the first one. He is around Stevenson, who's bobbled a little bit, sets his sights on Lamson. He didn't take any time at all to set Lamson up. He just kept the momentum that got him around Stevenson and says, hey, while I'm at it, I'm just going to go all the way to the front. So you see him take the different line, looks down to the inside, says this will be a piece of cake. In sprint car racing, they'd call that a slide job. Here it's called a block pass. That put Kedrowski in the second spot and left just Jeff Emig for him to deal with. And again, momentum is so critical. Once Kedrowski found his, he was able to move Emig out of the way. Says, that's my rut. Thank you very much. Dropped down pandemic to second place, and once again, cruised all the way to victory. He is absolutely the hottest property in the 125 class right now.
And he puts an exclamation point to that very sentence, Dave, as he sweeps both motos to win the support class here at Unadilla. Here's the top 5 overall, but the way they finished in the motos off to the right, Kudrowski the winner, Tishner and Stevenson 4th and 5th. Let's go to Bruce Penhall.
My congratulations. It looks like you had to work a little bit harder in that second moto.
Yeah, it was a tough moto. I got off to kind of a slow start. I was back, got about 10th, I think. And I just started, working on the guys. It was really rough out there, deep ruts. And I just kept on hammering away. And about the 15-minute mark, I just said, hey, I got to do it now or never. So I went out there and did it.
The 250cc riders are getting ready for their second moto. Can Jeff Stanton win the overall U.S. Grand Prix title? We'll have the answer to that question when we get back. Is putting the pressure on him in second place. Now, Jeff won the first moto. Morocco took a third place. So all Stanton needs is a second place here on the second moto to take the overall GP victory.
As they go into the white flag last lap, that's a critical point. Stanton does not have to pass Morocco to win the race, and yet he's going after him. It's a matter of pride. It's a measure of the man. Look at this.
Morocco out in front. Oh, there's a bump. Look at Stanton take advantage of it. Another bump. Can Morocco come back now? He does. On the outside. He'll take the outside of the corner. He gets more speed out of that corner, Dave.
He just wouldn't let Stanton by. Stanton came up, gave him a whack, and Morocco said, hey, I'll give you one right back, and held his line on the outside. He's been very effective in that section of the track all day today and kept Stanton behind him. That's a man who is motivated. He wants to win this race.
Passing the slower riders. Right now, Morocco making sure that he doesn't make a mistake going around the tight turn.
Look at the fans. They're just going nuts over this battle. This is it. Last lap, coming down to the shootout. Everybody cheering on their favorite. Stanton doesn't have to win this race to claim the overall, but he wants around Morocco in the worst way, trying to set up a different line on the final lap and make the move. Morocco seems to be holding his own.
He's holding up under the pressure, no doubt about it. He's got a good lead now as they come down that stretch. Tight turn. Does he look back? No. He's concentrating on the track ahead.
Exactly. He's got to maintain his focus. He's got to own the racetrack and make Stanton take the odd line. Make Stanton go where he doesn't want to go. And if he can do that, I think he can win the race. Here he comes. Here's the try.
Will he do it? Stanton quick. He makes the corner in time. Morocco made the corner and shut him off.
Remember in the 125 class how Kudrowski made the pass by using that inside line? Stanton didn't have the speed. Morocco kept the gas on, stayed in front, and Stanton is running out of places to make the move.
And as we see this tremendous battle come to an end, we'd like to thank the many volunteers and the promoter, Ward Robinson, for their invaluable help in our telecast.
Tell you what, Art, I think we've seen Jeff Stanton's best shot. He overshot the berm in that last right-hander, and I don't think he's got anything left for Mike Morocco. I believe this kid from Indiana is, in fact, going to win this second moto.
Mike Morocco and his fans have to feel good that he's put two excellent rides together in this particular competition. He's had trouble doing that in the past, and could this lead to a more mature Mike Morocco in the future?
Well, it's certainly a confidence builder as Morocco takes the checkered flag with a healthy margin at the end over Jeff Stanton. Stanton will take the overall on the basis of combined finishes in both motos. But in the second race, when it was man against man, Morocco had the stuff to beat him. A very impressive ride indeed.
And, David, it'll be interesting to see the results of the back of the pack and how those points will affect the world standings. I know the media and the fans are anxious to hear from Mike Morocco about that tremendous battle he just got through. Let's go down to Bruce Penhall now.
Congratulations, a great heat win. What a battle between you and Jeff Stanton. You both crashed and you came out on top. What a great heat win for you.
Yeah, I got out front like I wanted to. I got a good start, and, I felt pretty good, but I was a little cautious, and I let Jeff catch up to me, and I probably panicked, did something stupid, and crashed on there, but as soon as I did that, that put my adrenaline back in me, and I was able to catch back up, and he made a mistake, and I got right back around him.
So did you know exactly what was going on between the pit board, between yourself and your father, your mechanic?
Yeah, he said, he was telling me where Jeff was at, and I knew myself where he was at, and I knew he was catching me, but I tried to keep collected and, not fall down again, and that's what I did.
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at the second moto results. Morocco beats Stanton, although Jeff will take the overall win. Johansson third in the race and in the overall. Check Mike Healy in sixth and Trampus Parker ninth as we go to the overall winner.
Jeff, I'll tell you, you didn't make a very good start, but you worked hard. I'll tell you what, if the hard luck story goes to anyone, it's got to go to you in that second moto.
Yeah, I started way back in the pack and just kept working my way up. Finally got in second. Morocco made a mistake over there, went down. I got by him 2 laps later. I made a mistake and went down. So it'll take a little.
What was it? Was it the track itself, or did you just have like a little mental error?
It was a track. Track was tough. Really super deep ruts and muddy, and probably the toughest little track I've ever rode.
Well, you got the overall win anyway. And how about your motorcycle? Did it work the way you wanted it to?
Yeah, my Honda worked great. You know, American Hondas worked hard, and we got the best bike by far.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Parker and Healy came into this race trailing the World Championship points leader by 35 points. They made it even closer. Parker only 11 back of the defending champion. Healy 25 points off the pace. Two Americans with a good chance of bringing home a world title with 2 races left on the season. And the sun shines brightly on the newly crowned king of Unadilla, Jeff Stanton. Art Ekman along with Dave Despain and Bruce Penhall saying thank you so much for being with us for the U.S. Grand Prix.